Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the weekly forum here at Delaware State University. I am very proud of this particular mode of communication to keep you all engaged, whether you are students, staff, faculty, or alum. And today is a very, very special forum for us. We have 5 students and 5 faculty members, and we're talking about the online learning experience. I can tell you that I've heard the challenges, but I've also heard the tremendous grit and will, both of our students and of our faculty, in trying to get this right. The number one priority for all of us is to make sure, students, that you get to the finish line. So today we want to have a very candid, healthy dialogue about doing just that. And I want to give a special shout out to Marcus Dunn, former Mr. DSU, and Usman Tanjani, former SGA president, who were the impetus for having this particular forum. Your colleagues and graduating seniors at this university. So thank you, Marcus and Usman. A couple of things I want to share with you. The Student Emergency Relief Fund is now at $300,000. $300,000. We've already distributed about 261 students, about $138,000. But the need is high. We have 900 students that have made application for the Student Emergency Relief Fund. So faculty, staff, alumni, stakeholders, please continue to support the Student Emergency Relief Fund. It is making a difference in the lives of these students. Second, the nursing program here at Delaware State University, run by the incomparable Dr. Agnes Richardson, has been reaccredited through 2027. Let me say that again. We've been reaccredited through 2027, and we are quickly becoming one of the best nursing schools in the country. I am very, very proud of that fact. Special shout out to the nursing department, to Dr. Richardson, to Dr. Horton, and certainly to Dr. DeLauder. Also, student stories. We continue to see many student stories, and we're asking you students to send a video of your student story so that we can put it on DSU at Home and on the news page. If you go to the news page today, you will see a number of stories of your colleagues going through this particular crisis. And while they're heartwarming, sometimes they're tough to hear, but we need to hear them and we need to share with each other in a very, very responsible way. And finally, some students told me I was not on the gram enough. So now I am officially on the gram. You can find me at Believe, Live, Love. I've already done Hive Radio. I did that on Sunday. And yesterday, more than 1,000 of you participated in the student leaders elections. And I am very, very pleased that so many folks, particularly the candidates, 41 in total, decided to make it their business to become a student leader. And whether you won or you lost, the fact that you jumped in the game at a very important time, under very difficult circumstances, and made yourself known is very, very important to us. So now you probably see all the candidates that were before you for student elections. And the next slide just shows you 2 sets of winners. The Student Government Association, and I think they are called the Integrity Administration, and the Royal Court. So we will have everybody, all the results posted on our news site and on DSU at Home. But thank you to all of you that both ran and that supported your colleagues and fellow students. That makes a difference in this particular moment. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to your Chief Academic Officer, Provost Dr. Sandra DeLauder, who will facilitate today's discussion. Remember this, no question is a bad question, and we need to be able to get through this together. So Dr. DeLauder, take it away.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning. I am Sandra DeLauder, and I serve as your interim provost. A month ago, I spoke with you regarding the activities that Academic Affairs was undertaking to ensure your success during this pandemic. At that time, we discussed the student survey and I want to thank the more than 1,200 of you that took the time to complete the survey. We discussed the pass-fail policy. Again, briefly, students will have up until 6 weeks into the fall 2020 semester to decide whether or not they want to opt for a letter grade or for a pass-fail grade. The pass-fail grade will not impact your GPA. If you earn a passing grade, you will earn the credit. Also, please remember that we do have an incomplete policy that faculty may use at their discretion at this time. We know that your department chairs and college deans have scheduled some ongoing follow-up meetings since our last forum in early April. And as we approach the final exam season, we thought that this would be an excellent opportunity to engage you and the faculty in a joint forum to discuss strategies for successful student outcome. The chairs and deans councils met jointly yesterday with the representatives on your student panel. But before that, we will discuss the two surveys momentarily. But before that, I would like to present Mr. Usman Tajani, President of the Student Government Association. Mr. Tajani, please introduce yourself and your fellow panelists. Mr. Tajani.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Usman Tajani, current and past president with the newly electees for the Student Government Association underneath the Legacy Administration, also a graduating senior and a marketing major. A couple of the students and student leaders that we have here today are Mr. Marcus Dunn, who served as Mr. Delaware State for the 2019-2020 academic school year, who is also a management major. You also have Mr. David Campbell, who's also a graduating senior, criminal justice major, rising senior, Ms. Taylor Coleman, who's also an education major. And then we have Ms. Kaylee Bergois, who's also a rising senior, who's also a criminal justice major.
Thank you. So firstly, I would like for the students to please discuss some of the challenges that you or your fellow students have experienced during the pandemic.
One thing I've heard was that students are really overwhelmed with the workload. They feel like professors are giving them more work than that's on the syllabus, and having like 3 or 4 classes that's giving you a lot of work. They're feeling like real backed up and overwhelmed.
Is there anyone else that would like to add to Mr. Campbell's comments?
Yes, I'll speak. I know that one thing I've been struggling with is managing or balancing the at-home life versus the school life. I've been kind of working on, the time management aspect of it. And, there's a lot of other things on students' minds right now. And school should be a priority, but with everything going on, it can be a struggle to try and make it a priority.
Thank you. So Ms. Coleman or any other student panelists, could we speak to the home work balance? So as you all know, we all had to go home after spring break, and some of you have gone back to some stressful environments, or your fellow students. Could anyone describe some of the situations that your students, your fellow students are experiencing at this time?
Well, I know that speaking for myself and other students, some people went back home and had to become like head of their household again. So if that's taking care of their siblings, taking care of even the kids that they have themselves, that life turning back into reality, not only just focusing on your academics, could be really stressful. So I know that there's a lot of situations where now, parents are leaving the student who was on campus back home with the siblings now to go handle essential work or whatever the case may be. So I know there's a lot of people are living like double lives now back at home that they would have just lived one life or focused on their academics at school.
Great. Okay, so thank you for that, Usman. So to summarize, you all have been home since spring break. Some challenges with the home work balance. and some of you have had to take on head of household responsibilities, trying to manage work and complete your coursework. Is that a fair summation?
Yeah, that's a fair summary.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to introduce our academic affairs panelists. I will start with the department chairs. Dr. Brody Blumel is the chair for the Languages and Literatures Department. Dr. Sabrina McGarry, chair for the Biological Sciences Department. Dr. Akash Dania is the chair for Accounting, Economics, Finance, and Aviation. And Dr. Gwen Scott Jones is the chair of Psychology and Assistant Dean for the College of Health and Behavioral Sciences. I would like for each of the chairs to give one example on how they are engaging their students during this pandemic. I'll start with Dr. Blumel if he's on the line. Good morning.
In addition to weekly student forums and department announcements, we've reached out directly via phone, text, and email to every single student who has either self-identified or been identified by faculty as experiencing specific challenges. My admin team, Ms. Angie Cozy and Mrs. Dawn Gibson, have been phenomenal in assisting with this so that we can and have been able to reach out to over 100 students and have regular contact with them to support them through the challenges they're experiencing.
Okay, great. Dr. McGarry?
Hi, good morning. So we're doing the same thing as Dr. Blumel is doing in terms of trying to identify as many students as we can that may be having issues with their Wi-Fi or their technology or work-life balance, and trying to help everyone out as best we can. I'll say personally, I'm responding to every single email that I'm getting from students, and trying to maintain contact with everyone as regularly as possible, both on the student side and the faculty side, to make sure we're all coming together.
Okay, thank you for that. Dr. Dania, if you're on the line. Dr. Dania? Dr. Scott Jones?
Yes, good morning.
Good
One of the
morning.
things that we have done in the Department of Psychology, we have also, I've encouraged all of the students and the faculty to attend the college forums that we had, and also all of the forums that were offered by the president and academic affairs. One of the things that I find most important that we have done is that I am in every class as the department chair through Blackboard, where I also get all of the email exchanges. I see what the faculty members are posting and look at all of their activities. In addition to that, I have encouraged all faculty to be reasonable while keeping academic integrity and showing a good faith effort in assisting each student. I've also at times provided well-being buffers per se, and that's for students who were having a difficult time, calling them, checking in with them, just to make sure that they're doing okay. And last but not least, we have taken the liberty to implement a departmental survey for everyone who's taking a psychology course, and we'll have that information readily available subsequent to final exams.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Scott Jones. Was Dr. Dania able to join us? Okay, well, we will move on then.
Something's wrong with his mic.
Oh, okay, it's his mic.
Hey, Dr. DeLauder.
Yes.
Dr. DeLauder, can I ask a question of you just for a minute here? I think it might be helpful for the students who are out there if they just had a sense of the structure of academic affairs. So from professor to chair to dean, just so they know the process if they need to raise their concerns.
Okay, so the general process is that if a student has an issue with a department course or a faculty member, they should try to manage that at the department with the faculty member. But if they cannot reach consensus, it should move to the department chair, and then from the chair to the dean, and then to the provost office. So what I noted at our last student forum was that if they sent their concerns directly to the academic affairs email, we would bypass all of that, and that we, as at the provost office, would then manage that because, you know, of the challenges that we're experiencing right now. So that email is ACAD Affairs, ACAD Affairs, AFFAIRS @desu.edu. And one of the staff members in the provost office will follow up directly with the student and then manage that process with the department. So all emails that have been received by the provost office we have made contact with departments, and we have had chairs to follow up with the student to address their concerns. Okay.
And one more question, Dr. DeLauder, for the student panel, and any of the students can answer. Do you feel like you have a sense of the process if you are having trouble with your classes, and have any of you attempted to follow that process?
Have any of you attempted to contact your faculty members and not received any response from the faculty member? And in that case, did you raise it to your department chairs? Are the students on mute?
Usman, you want to jump in? Sounds like you want to jump in.
I don't think I had that issue this semester per se, but I think maybe one time during my sophomore year, I had taken a class where I know I deserved an A, but I ended up getting a B. And then I ended up talking to my professor, and it was a simple mistake. He said, "Oh, I forgot to change a grade." And then, you know, we talked it over. But I know for a couple other students who had to get, you know, grades disputed, they kind of understood the process of first you go to the professor trying to calculate your final grade. Then if it doesn't add up to per se, like what you think it's supposed to be, then you contact the chair. But I think a few students or a majority do have the understanding of the process. Maybe just sometimes it can be explained more often.
Okay.
Yes.
So would it be helpful if we put something out there for you, just to remind you of that process?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Very
Thank you.
good. Can I borrow your pen?
Yeah, I currently don't really have any issues with current classes in terms of getting in contact with the faculty. It's just working with like advisement on next semester that I know that some students may have trouble with. Like I know getting in contact with the chairperson of my department has been easy, but for other students it may not necessarily be, depending on how like open their chair people are.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Well, are there any other students that wanted to comment? Okay, so we will move on to Ms. Terry Jeffrey. She serves as the Assistant Dean for our School of Graduate Adult and Extended Studies, and she's primarily responsible for the Office of Distance Education and Learning Technologies. Is Ms. Jeffries on the line?
Good morning, Dr. DeLauder. Thank you so much. We have really been involved ahead of COVID-19 and the pandemic. The Office of Distance Education, Learning, and Technology, ODELT, as we like to call it, has offered over the past couple of years, in line with the President's digital initiative, Blackboard basic training, intermediate, as well as advanced training, both face-to-face and online courses. And they continue to run to make our faculty ready to be familiar with our LMS, which is our learning management system, Blackboard. But since this has happened, we have established a Blackboard community that has a number of training videos and support tools and resources available for our faculty for them to better engage the student in the online environment. The team, I'm very proud of the team that we have, Ms. Martha Sims Wilson, Ray Akey, Rolanda Sigler, who rose to the occasion as we transitioned to online course delivery. They are trailblazers and deserve a Medal of Honor. I certainly am proud of the work that they've been able to do for Delaware State and for our students and faculty during this time. And then since this started, we've offered trainings for faculty, Jumpstart Your Online Courses. We've also offered courses for students, Ask the Experts, a number of sessions as it relates to helping the students to navigate the LMS and any questions that they may have. And ahead of this starting, we enrolled all of our students in the Blackboard Basic course so that they would have access to tools and resources how to best use the learning management system. The staff continues to field calls and emails daily from faculty and students as it relates to Blackboard and any challenges they may be having. They are available certainly during office hours by phone and email, but we do have with Blackboard support a 24/7 hotline where you can call if students, naturally you do your homework in the middle of the night and our office is not there and you may be having some challenges with Blackboard. You can certainly call the 24/7 toll-free number at 844-570-6766, or you can participate in an online chat that's also available to assist you with any challenges that you may have. And this service is not only available for students, but it's also for faculty as well. But we've been eagerly supporting the university community as well as the elections happen through Blackboard as well. So we're excited for the work that we're doing and to support the efforts of the university during this time. Thank you.
So thank you, Ms. Jeffries. Are there any special initiatives or activities in preparation for final examinations?
Yes, we are hosting trainings actually started last week, trainings every week for faculty on tips and best practices as it relates to online exams.
Okay, great, thank you. Ms. Jarso Segby represents our Office of Student Success. Ms. Segby, please discuss how the Office of Student Success is supporting our students during the pandemic.
Good morning, and thank you, Dr. DeWater. Since we've migrated to the online environment, what we've done in the Office of Student Success is move to virtual advising. We currently have ongoing weekly meetings with students virtually. We're reaching out to them by phone, email, as well as a weekly walk-in virtual session where students do not need an appointment, but they can just log into the link that we send them by Teams to connect with advisors for not only academic support, but we also know wellness support that these students need, as the students are have communicated during this session that they have encountered other important responsibilities now we're learning in this new environment. So we are finding a lot of that and supporting students in that regard. In addition to our weekly walk-in sessions and advisement, tutoring sessions are available for students during this time, not only via tutor.com, but as well as live tutoring sessions in Blackboard Collaborate. Since we went online or virtual from March 16 to now, we've had about 501 students access tutor.com for support, and we've had 43 live sessions for students needing services and support for tutoring. In terms of activities planned for finals week, the Office of Student Success usually run during the traditional semester is Stress Zone, but we have an alternative to that on May 4th, which is Reading Day, test-taking strategies and some wellness support that Ms. Tiffany Alexander will be providing to our students. Emails around that has already been sent out to the students in that regard. During our weekly virtual sessions with the students, we offer tips on final week. We share with them the final exam schedule, just tips and ideas on how to prepare themselves and support each other during this time. Ms. Ann Netler has sent out information to the students with test accommodations and a refresher on the process. I hear President Allen stressing the process. With this new environment, students are learning. We understand they're not, on campus. So some of this that we've oriented them to, we have to reorient them. So they've been, communicated with how to reach out and get, their accommodations that they have for students with documented disabilities. The library services as well is ongoing, supporting students with interlibrary services virtually. They've created 10 different tutorials that are available on their website for students to access to know how to navigate through this time. The academic athletic support services are working with student athletes to make sure that they are supported and services provided. Audits have been are ongoing to ensure projections for summer school for those students that will need support in the summer or courses in the summer. Additionally, we've also deployed our student satisfaction survey to our students to assess where they are right now in terms of the services that we're providing them, and also trying to glean from that what kinds of apprehensions they have in preparing for the fall semester, only the finals week. And I'll just encourage students to continue to engage their advisors. We continuously reach out to them. I have this saying on my email signature that our students are the lifeblood of the work that we do, and helping them find their way to graduation is the reason why we do what we do. So in the words of Dr. Allen, it all matters. But that's pretty much what we have for the Office of Student Success. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Segbe. And I will note once again to the students that if you're experiencing any challenges trying to navigate this new landscape that we find all of ourselves in, the door is open. You contact Academic Affairs, you contact the Office of Student Success. And even if it's not where the request should normally go, we will make sure that we get you where you need to go. We will get you with paired up with the person or get you the information that you need to move to the next phase. So we want to move now.
Sorry, I could give out my email address as well.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Segbe.
Especially those ones who haven't registered, please reach out to us. My address is jsegbe, SAYGBE @desu.edu. If you haven't registered, you need connection to resources, please email us. As Dr. DeLorda said, we will try to navigate you appropriately.
And we will make sure that this information is updated on the COVID page so that in case you didn't get that or you forget or whatever, we will make sure it's on the page readily accessible.
Hey, Dr. DeLorda.
Yes.
One more question for the students on communication. We've had some discussions with them how they like to be communicated with most effectively. Could a couple of the students just talk about how
For me personally, is email, because I do get my notifications from my email. But also, I know I do have a strong relationship with a lot of my professors, so they do like call me or I'm able to call them if I have any questions. So having that line of communication is very helpful. So email or phone call for real.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, I also check my email about 3 times a day, so email is great.
Okay, great.
I check my email often too, so I think email is one of the most effective ways to get in contact with the teacher.
All righty, Great, thank you. So we want to move now to the survey phase, just to discuss quickly the key findings. So the Office of Institutional Effectiveness, as you know, submitted a survey. That survey is complete. More than 1,200 students completed the survey. And then we will move to the survey conducted by our students. Mr. Tunjani will note the key findings from the SGA survey. About 700 students completed that survey. And then we'll, follow up and then move to the Q&A session. Dr. Linda Murray Jackson will quickly go over the key findings from the survey administered through the Office of Institutional Effectiveness. Dr. Murray Jackson, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning, Dr. DeLauder, President Allen, students and faculty and staff.
Good morning.
Institutional effectiveness handles accreditation, the Center for Teaching and Learning, which is your course evaluations for students and professional development for faculty, assessment, and then IRPA, which is our data arm. We surveyed, as Dr. DeLauder said, over 1,200 students, and it was roughly 50-50 between in-state and out-of-state students. One of the key findings was the importance of support structures for students to be successful. Colleges and departments have sought opportunities to engage students as a result of this survey. They've been having the forums at both the college and the department level. Overall, the faculty have been very willing to accommodate student challenges, and the students have been very appreciative of that. It has also stressed the importance of continuous engagement opportunities and effective communication for everyone to be successful. This is new for the faculty and the students, and so that working together is really appreciated. That early and continuous feedback, you cannot wait till the end to get some results because it makes people anxious in already an anxious time. And the importance of effective communication strategies that will accommodate online learning. As I said, faculty is learning just like the students, though, because this was not what any of us bargained for. So I appreciate the response level, and I appreciate the involvement of both the students and the faculty.
Mr. Tunjani, I'm sorry, did you want to add something?
No, I'm done.
Oh, okay, thank you. Mr. Tunjani, if you could move to the student affairs survey administered to the SGA.
Marcus is going to take the first half of it, and then I'll take the second half.
All righty. Marcus?
Good morning, everybody. Based on the student findings that we have found, we were able to survey about 700 students and about their concerns and challenges with dealing with COVID-19. We were able to find a clear understanding of ongoing student challenges due to COVID-19. And also we were able to find an understanding of current learning environments due to COVID-19 as well.
In addition to that, we're able to understand that the continuous feedback between students and professors, the constant emailing and checking on grades, making sure that a student knows where he or she stands, and also the professor providing any feedback or positive tips for the student to end up to be successful at the end of the finish line. The effective communication strategies to accommodate online learning, if it's the Blackboard collaborations, your Zooms, the type of communication that works best for professors to handle as well as students, and then flexible assessment strategies for like final grades. Several students don't have either the required equipment to do certain exams. Some individuals are working on their phones still. So just trying to figure out a flexible assessment for everybody to accommodate everybody for the finish line.
Very good. So what I would note that's common between both of the surveys is the need for early and continuous feedback and the importance of effective communication strategies. So is there anything else? Is there any other student feedback to speak to the need for early and continuous assessment, for example, or effective communication strategies that work best for students?
I just think that maybe the whole Blackboard transition, just making sure that the grades are kept up. I know it's hard trying to grade, 100 students. You have 3 classes, 30 students per class. I know it gets hard, but, just trying to stay at least weekly up to date on grades. Some students might not realize where they stand from their midterm to their final. Their grades could have fluctuated from different type of letter grades. So just keeping up that update on Blackboard, and also just providing, little success tips. If a student is underperforming, providing them tips or feedback on how to make them successful, because nobody wants to retake a class and spend money on a class that they should have passed the first time. So, just providing tips and feedback for that also.
Okay, thank you.
DeLauder, it's Linda. I'd like to add that for the faculty, some grace is needed right now because the students are struggling just as you are struggling, and we don't really know. So consider when you're planning your assessments, how to think outside the box in really judging whether the student has demonstrated what you're trying to get them to demonstrate, and not be inflexible in how you do it. Because if ever there was a time for grace, now is the time.
Well, thank you for that input, Dr. Murray Jackson. Grace, most definitely. But while I have you here, are there any alternate assessment opportunities here aside from an examination that faculty may want to consider?
It really does depend on the discipline, but you can get students to do presentations on their phone to demonstrate how they've learned stuff. I mean, there have been experiences where faculty have gotten students to do raps or songs to the subject matter. That shows creativity, critical thinking, and knowledge content of what they're doing. So it's time to really think outside the box, depending on your discipline. How can you get folks to really show that they've learned? And then also faculty need to document some of those out of the box things, because they may want to incorporate it when we get to whatever our new normal is going to be.
Thank you. So again, at this time, we want to thank our panelists. And to summarize, there are alternate strategies to assessing learning. Examinations is not the only way that students can demonstrate learning. And at this point in time, other ways may be considered or considered. I would ask the faculty. From the panelists, I will have to go to IT support to see if there are any that we can read and then post to the panel for discussion.
So Dr. Dahl, let's first go to the panel, and then we'll have Daryl give us some sense of the questions in the chat.
Okay.
So any questions? I have a question for the students, but before I begin, any questions from the students? Okay, so here's my question. If you had to narrow it down to one thing that would make it a little less challenging for you relative to your studies this spring, that you really wanted the faculty and the administration to know and understand, what would that be? And I'd like to hear from all 4 of you if I could.
Okay.
Dr. Allen, could you repeat the question?
If there was one thing, just one thing that would help you, would help ease the challenging times relative to your academic learning, that you really wanted the faculty and the administrative team to hear, what would that one thing be?
For me, I just think it would be the understanding that we're just not in school anymore.
Right.
We're living more than just our academic life now, and it comes with several different factors, and just to understand that we're never, no Hornet is ever asking for the easy way out. We're just asking to be considerate this time. That's all.
Hey, Uzi, would you mind sharing some of your challenges during this time, if you don't mind? I think that'd be helpful for everybody.
Yeah. So my parent contracted COVID-19. Since then, I had to become the head of the household, taking care of my little brother and my son and her. You know, times is kind of different, you know, making sure everybody's okay, then having to go do your work after. So, you know, it just, your mind's all over the place and it's running, but you still have to remember that, oh, I have graduation in 2 weeks. I still have to complete this assignment, make sure that's done. So I just think that being a firsthand experience at it, you know, it just shows like, you know, life could really change in a matter of a second. So, you know, you just have to handle things properly and just try to communicate with as many people as possible so they can understand like what you're going through.
Thank you, Uzi, and blessings to you and your family, particularly your mother at this time.
Thank you.
Kind of going along with what he was saying, I just think the best thing right now is a mutual understanding of everyone's situation. I know that people are in different areas, but I'm currently in New York, where it's kind of like the epicenter of everything. So even though I'm not in Delaware, there are still things that I may need to focus on more than focusing on, you know, sometimes assignments. And if teachers understand that students are struggling, and on the flip side, students understand that teachers are struggling as well, I think it'll be a lot easier, especially during finals week when, you know, everybody's heads kind of, people like running around with chickens with their heads cut off during finals week usually. So hopefully that'll kind of help with that issue.
Thank you, Kylan.
To piggyback off of what Usman and Taylor said, basically one thing I want to say is that I hope that faculty can just understand us as students. Hope that faculty could just understand us as students and human beings, being that we're like not on campus no more. We're not in that typical learning environment to where we can understand material properly and basically do good in our academic studies. Now that we're home in this type of environment, we're not used to this. You know, students try to get away to go to school and live on campus for a reason, not to, you know, take classes virtually online. So I basically just want, I just hope the faculty and staff could just understand us as students when it comes to academic success.
Thank you, Marcus.
And I will say that just to be considerate, I know a lot of students weren't able to get back on campus, so like their books and stuff are still in their room, so they're not able to access and do the same work as they were able to do if they were just here on campus. So just to be considerate and understand, like, not everybody has the same resources. Not everybody has their books with them or anything like that. So work might be harder to get done. Tests might be harder to take because they don't have all the resources necessary.
Thank you, David.
Well, thank you, panelists, for your candid response to the president's question. We'll now open it up from questions that the audience may have posed. Do we have any? Okay.
Yes, we have a Q&A that's listed here. So I'll start with, if you are not good with taking tests, what can we do?
Well, I would thank you for that question. One of the things that Dr. Linda Murray Jackson and I just finished discussing is, you know, the ultimate need for assessment of learning. We generally examine, you know, provide examinations to students to assess learning, but there are alternatives to taking exams. And, you know, frankly, their case study analysis, their projects, their presentations. Dr. Linda Murray Jackson mentioned, you know, rapping. There are other ways to demonstrate creativity. So it does depend on the class. But if you're not good at taking tests, we're hoping that the faculty will acknowledge that, again, at this stressful time, that there are other ways to assess that knowledge, and that they will move forward accordingly with alternative assessment modes.
Hey, Dr. DeLauder, could we have Dr. Blumel take a stab at that question as well?
Okay, thank you. Dr. Blumel, are you on?
Yes. Yeah, I would just affirm that. And if there are individual classes that you're particularly concerned about, that now would be the time to reach out to your instructor and or to the department chair to express that you have that anxiety about a particular course so that we can then address it now versus waiting until after finals week happens. If we know that exists now and if there are multiple concerns about a particular class or assessment, we can make the adjustments on the front end to adapt and make sure that we're helping the students through the process.
Thank you. Are there any other chairs that want to respond?
Can I say something?
Sure.
On the student side? Okay. So coming from the student's perspective, I feel like the best thing that you can try and do is recreate the setting that you had on campus. And you may be in a situation where you have to take a test or whatever major you're in requires, tests all the time. So if you don't feel like you're good with taking tests, whatever situation you were in on campus that helped aid you in your test taking online, try and somewhat recreate it. Maybe it's a quiet room, maybe there's some little white noise in the background, or whatever you feel helped you succeed on campus. When you're doing it off campus, just try really hard to recreate that situation or environment.
Well, thank you, Taylor. Very insightful.
Dr. DeLauder, Linda Murray-Jackson. Some of the faculty are opening the exams early and still have a time limit on it, but leaving it earlier, open for a longer period of time to accommodate the fact that everyone's not available at the same time, which may help some students. Because if your quiet time is 2 a.m, having an exam at 8 a.m. is not going to help you. So that's something for faculty to think about, having an extended period.
True. So flexibility in the scheduling may also be helpful. Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
This is Gwen, Dr. DeLauder. I
Thank
just
you.
want to remind the students that you can always reach out to your faculty, reach out to the faculty member. And in some situations, you may not have to email all of your situations, but ask the faculty member, can you all set up a meeting to talk and explain your situation? The faculty is well aware that they have to have a level of flexibility. And once again, we want to make sure that we're providing a good faith effort in assisting you in making sure you get your needs met. We know that the acculturation process of going from traditional courses to online created a great deal of stress. But
Yes.
if you're proactive and you begin to work with those faculty members, and if the faculty members are perplexed as to they don't know what to do, most likely they reach out to their department chairs who help give some leverage to them and help them figure out what they need to do in situations. Okay.
Dr. Scott,
But and
Dr. Scott.
also know that the tests are not always indicative of your overall abilities.
Right.
You all are rock stars, okay? And that test do not find who you are as scholars.
Dr. Scott Jones,
Yes.
could you talk a little bit about what you think the faculty might need from the students during this time?
I think that as one of the panelists has said, one of the student panelists had indicated, they recognize that the faculty members are also stressed out. Many of the faculty members are undergoing some of the same challenges that you are undergoing as students, meaning that they also have loved ones home who are ill. They're trying to also create a workplace balance. And once again, they're acculturating as well. The faculty would like for the students to be very upfront and tell them what they need so that they can help them now, instead of waiting until the final or not taking the final, and then they have to reach out to you because they have so many other students. So if you're very proactive and you're reaching out to your faculty member, guess what? Every one of your department chairs are on your courses. So if you're sending your chair an email, we get the same email. So, you're not just doing this by yourself. You have support with us as well, but we need to know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another question?
Yes. How are you dealing with professors who will not accommodate students for the final? I now have to work full time and I am missing a final, yet a professor says that they cannot open up the test for just one student.
Hey, let me start, and then the provost will chime in here. Look, I want to be very clear both what I think you've seen today from the student side and the faculty side, that the vast majority of students and faculty are doing these things for the right reasons and trying to get through this together. So if there are outliers, folks who are the exception, not the rule, it's very important that we know about that. Does us no good if you simply have been told that, but you haven't tried to rectify it in any way. Dr. DeLauder has said that there is an email, acadaffairs@desu.edu, that if you send that email, address your concerns, we will get a response to you right away. So I do want to make sure that we are not thinking about only the minority of students and faculty who may be having challenges and are not interacting with each other. That is not what we do. That is not what we are about. So if you are having those concerns, please raise your hand quickly so we can try to rectify that for you. As I said at the start, the goal is to get you to the finish line. That is the goal. And we want to do that with quality and purpose.
Well, I have nothing to add. That I concur with what President Allen said. You send your concerns to the ACAD Affairs email, and we will make sure that we address the matter ASAP.
Any other questions in queue?
Is it possible to fill out emergency relief fund application a second time if you were not approved the first time?
Yes, but what's probably more important is for you to send a direct note to the head of institutional advancement, Vita Pickram. That email is vpickrum@desu.edu. Any other questions in queue,
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'll give another one. What happens to students who are on WARN SAP, who struggle to keep up with their grades, and with these challenging times, they fail to meet the standard to get off of the warning SAP?
Okay, so let me see if I heard that correctly. Students that were on warning SAP that failed to
That struggle to keep up with their grades. With these challenging times, they failed to meet the standards to get off of SAP. So I guess they were wondering what happens, what do they have as an option?
These are uncharted territory. This is uncharted territory. So what I'm going to note here is that in collaboration with our strategic enrollment management, our Director for Financial Aid manages SAP in collaboration with our Office of Student Success, we would have to look at every one of these situations on a case-by-case basis. First of all, we would have to know what it is that you need to come off of SAP. This was a disruption. All of us know that. And we are here to support you in making your transition forward. I think there's an opportunity to appeal SAP. Also understand that we are held by Title IV requirements from the Department of Education. So while they may seem stringent, the federal government oversees all of our financial aid. But we will definitely work with you. Do your best in completing your courses to the best of your abilities, and then we will look at what's next for you as you complete your coursework.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think it's important to remember that everybody across the country in many different industries are making special exceptions, including the federal government. So as Dr. DeLauder noted, we'll be taking them on a case-by-case basis, but recognize that we know that we are moving in uncharted territories and trying to be very responsive in that regard. Darryl, we'll take one more question, then we'll wrap up.
How would you go about, wait a minute, where is it? For those students that have student loans for next year, should we hold off on applying for loans or go about the same process?
It's important that you go through the exact same process that you typically go through. You do know that we have made some special considerations as it relates to cost of attendance credits and the like, but it's very important that you continue your normal processes that will help us and you relative to how you're able to access those loans. Much of the financial aid that you receive, when it is held up, it is largely because you have not filled out all the necessary information that you need. So I do not want that to be a holdup in this situation. So please continue to do what you would normally do in a normal environment. Darryl, are those all the questions?
Yeah, that's it for now.
Okay. Let me say to Dr. DeLauder first, excellent panel. I could not be more proud of the faculty and the staff and the students here. I think you all are showing exactly what a contemporary university looks like. I can almost bet you that there are no other universities that are engaging students and faculty together in an open forum accessible to probably 1,500 people to talk about how we can do this together. That's the Delaware State University difference. And to the students, I want you to be clear that we are continuing to operate with your safety and security in mind. And our goal from the beginning, from the first moment you walked on campus, was to get you across the graduation stage, and that remains unchanged. A couple of things for the students. As you know, we will be in an online environment throughout the summer. So it's very important, if you need to register for summer, that you do that right away. Very important. We'll continue to run these forums throughout the summer, and we'll continue to update you on what our plans look like for the fall. If you have questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas, there are many ways to communicate with all of us. I would urgently ask you to use all of those modes of communication. You'll see that we're trying to do things differently here. We're trying to interact as best we can. And we know that you are living in very, very uncharted territories. As Usman noted, some things have changed in your life that really have nothing to do with your academic standing. We are sensitive to that and want to make sure that you know that we're sensitive to that. So with that, I want to again congratulate the winners of the student leaders elections from last night. I'm hoping that'll be up on the page here in a second. I am proud of all of you, faculty, staff, and students alike, and I know that we will continue to get through this together. Looking forward to seeing you at next week's forum, Tuesday at 11. And remember, what we're trying to do every day is to show you that it all matters, because it all matters to us as it relates to who you are, what you do in the world, and what kind of citizens we are producing for an ever-changing global community. Thank you for all you do, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.